Hey everyone, it's Skyee here and welcome to part 4 of our Hannah Lynn Christmas color along. Hopefully this will be the last part. We'll see though. We'll make it a little bit longer if we need to. There's not a whole lot to be done, but I have a feeling what we have left is going to be a little bit time consuming. So, if you don't know already, we have been working on holiday shopping from Hannah Lynn's A Whimsy Girls Christmas, and this is what we have left to do. I have been doing a little bit of research about turning these into jeans, and I've come up with watered down acrylic paint. That's the only thing that I really have that a lot of people recommended, so we're going to try that. I have attempted it with a few different things, and I seem to get like 50-50 results. I think it more depends on how watered down the acrylic paint is, so we're just going to wing it and hope for the best. And worst case scenario, if I mess up on these, I'm just going to go in and paint them blue and then add shading in that way and make them jeans. So I'm not too worried about it. But hopefully this isn't going to bother you guys, since I'm going to have to do multiple layers of white acrylic paint on her leggings here. I am going to be working on the page upside down. And I'm hoping that that's not going to bother you guys. This way we can still work in between layers while letting it dry. We can kind of multitask. So, yeah. So I've just got some white acrylic white acrylic paint. I use Daler Rowney. You can use whatever brand you want. I do have a couple pieces of paper in behind my page to protect it. I'm going to go ahead and start with a layer of this. So I'm just going to carefully, technically I just need to go over the lines, but I'm going to go over the whole area just because if this ends up looking textured, if we only go over the lines, then it might make it look kind of weird. So I'm just going to go over the whole area so that way it's all the same. So I just took some acrylic paint and watered it down. Just until it was like slightly opaque, or I should say slightly translucent. We'll probably need at least 3 or 4 coats minimal to get that completely white, but we'll see. And fingers crossed that we can color over it. So I'm gonna flip her upside down. And I think I actually want to get started on the floor, maybe? Yeah, let's work on the floor. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So I think for the floor, I want to do like a dark wood kind of color. Maybe go a little bit crazy and add our own like wood grain kind of look to it. And I want to use some of the colors that we've already used in the previous parts. I don't want to introduce too many new colors. So I'm just going to go through. I don't want to add any red to the wood. At least I don't think I do, because I don't really want it to blend in with her coat. Probably definitely going to need black. Probably some dark umber. I like the chocolate. I want to keep it kind of dark. I like burnt ochre, but it does have a red tone to it, so I actually don't want to use that. Or do I? Maybe. We'll put it in there. It's not too red. It's more on the brown side, so we might be okay. I'm not really seeing any other colors that we have in here that's catching my eye. Won't need that. Maybe the putty beige. I definitely want to stay away from the artichokes because we used quite a bit of that in our paper bags and stuff, so. these off to the side. This is gonna bother me. Okay, let's try to just avoid her leggings because I'm gonna mess up on the shadows. I know it if I keep it like that. Okay, so the dark umber, black, and chocolate for sure. Let's start with the chocolate, since that'll probably be one of our lightest colors. Let's see if I can find it in this heap of mess of pencils here. Okay, so I'm going to imagine that the wall starts like right around here, I think, or here. I don't know if I color this as floor, if it might look funny. So we're gonna start the wall kind of here. So everything kind of underneath is going to be floor. And I'm not too worried about these rail tracks because I'm gonna go over them with my silver gel pen and make them look all metallic and metal. So then let's come in with our black, which I think is this guy here. I'm just gonna carefully try not to place my hand in that. So I'm gonna come in and throw a little bit of a shadow in underneath the tree skirt here, which we still needs a color. I'm not really sure what I want to do with that. I'm thinking similar colors to what we used in the teddy bear's hat, but I don't really know. It's very awkward. Okay, let's just make some random, oops, too far, random shapes. Kind of like random lines, maybe. Make this kind of look like hardwood. We're gonna go for it. Let's do it. Why not? It's either gonna look really good or really bad. Just hope that it looks good though. Either way, it'll give our floor a little bit of interest, so hopefully it won't be too bad. Just gonna darken up a little bit around the corners here. And then underneath the Christmas present there as well. And we'll switch to our dark umber. So I'm gonna go over the black with this. I'm gonna add quite a few layers. So we're gonna go pretty dark over those black lines I popped in there. And then, as always, just kind of lighten the pressure as we fade out. But I am still kind of going over everything because I do want this floor to be relatively dark. So I'm gonna leave a little bit of a highlight for the chocolate to mix in with the dark umber. But for the most part, we're gonna have dark umber almost everywhere. I kind of like the color, so I don't think I'm going to add the burnt ochre or the putty beige. We'll probably just stick with the chocolate. So we'll go in with this and just start burnishing and blending into everything. I don't think I'm going to be able to burnish it too much without overpowering the darker color, so I'm just going to put a really good layer in here, and actually maybe we'll burnish with the blender pencil. Okay. So then with the blender pencil, I'm going to kind of blend it in an up and down motion. That way we can kind of blend out those lines so they're a little bit softer, not so harsh. There we go. Just gonna use my brush to get rid of the excess pencil dust, and I did accidentally go over the windowsill a little bit here, so I'm just gonna use my little mono knock eraser after I clean it off, because it's got red all over it, and that will transfer. I'm just going to use that to gently take off the brown that I put in there, hopefully without taking out any of the color from underneath. But we'll see. I'm just going to go in with the Deco Yellow lightly and pop a little bit of that yellow back in there. Okay, so there's the floor. I think my page is dry enough for another layer. Definitely make sure your page is dry to the touch before adding more. It'll depend on how much water you used to lighten your acrylic paint. So here's layer number 2. I'm really working that paint over the paper to try and make sure that it's completely even and not bumpy in places. And I'm not too worried if I go over the black lines, because we can always bring those back out. Okay, so now we'll wait till we can put in a third layer. I'm actually kind of liking these white too. Okay, so I'm going to keep track of the colors that we've actually used, so that way I know what to put in the intro of the video. Okay, so I want to move up to here. I want to color in the wall, because I think that'll be kind of a little bit easy, well, a little bit difficult, but a little bit easier to color while this stuff is drying. So, got a little pencil dust everywhere. I'm not sure about her hair color yet. I'm still torn between blonde or brown. I think it's gonna heavily kind of be based on what color the wall is and how it looks, because I'm gonna do the wall blue. So I'm more leaning towards blonde because it's gonna be more of like a contrasting color with blue. I think they'll go better together. For this lantern, I do want to create kind of like a glow around it. So I'm actually just going to completely color in this lantern black, and I'll probably just do that with a fine liner and then, or probably my Posca pen, because I do want to go over it with white Posca and still add highlights to it. And if I do that with a fine liner, my fine liners are water-based, so if I go over it with paint, it's just going to get smudgy and gross and turn gray. So I'm not too worried about coloring over top of it. We're going to want some colors here for the walls. I'm going to pause and meet you back. Alright, so I've pretty much just grabbed the majority of the blues and yellows that we've already used. I am going to for sure bring in the cream because that's going to help us with the glow of the lamp, and it's going to help us blend into the blues without it turning like a really green color. So I think I'm going to start off with the indigo blue. I do want to keep some black in here as well. Or actually, let's be weird and go in with the dark umber. So I'm going to add a little bit of the dark umber, just kind of peeking out from some of these, I want to say shadows, but we're kind of creating shadows with it. Just peeking out from some of these like outside things. This actually has a line here, which makes me think that that was supposed to be wreath, but I'm confused. I don't know what's going on. I'm just gonna color this in as well. Okay, don't want to go too dark in around here, so we're just gonna leave that area alone. And then from there, we're going to go over top of that with the indigo blue. Actually really like that that dark umber and the indigo blue together. Just creates a really deeper, kind of like richer tone of the blue, whereas I find black kind of mutes the colors. So it's always nice to kind of experiment with different shadow colors that can kind of enhance the color you're already using rather than tone it down. Unless that's what you're going for, of course. Okay. I'm not sure if I actually want to use the cerulean blue. Just flip through my book here and see if we can find a little bit of a better option. Okay, let's stick with it. Try not to add more new colors. At least not for the background. If we add new colors, it'll mostly be on her. Of course, her skin, and then we'll probably add some new colors for her hair. But since this is such a really opaque color, I'm just going to use very light layers and blend it in, and we'll either use our next color to burnish over top of everything or a blender pencil. Let's take a quick breather from that. We'll add another layer to her leggings. Mine is pretty dry, so I'm gonna go in. I'm not too worried about coloring them right away, but the sooner I finish building up what we need here, the sooner I can stop being very mindful of where I place my arm. I think 1 or 2 more layers on this should do it. I don't think it needs to be completely opaque because I'm not doing like light colored jeans. But just enough to hide the lines so they won't show through on our lightest color. So I've got this like circly shape going on around the lamp here. So what I want to do now I think we'll go in with the canary yellow. Like I said, I'm not worried about coloring over the lamp because I'm going to be going back over with a black Posca pen. If you don't have a black Posca pen or any pen that you can go over it with, that won't activate if you put something else over top of it. You might want to not color over this and maybe use pencil instead. So I'm going to color in the whole lamp with the canary yellow, and then I'm just going to kind of outline it a little ways and then blend it out. Then we're going to come in with our deco yellow. And I'm going to bring this out a little bit further and just lightly go over the blues. It will turn slightly green. There's no getting away from that, unfortunately, but it'll still look good. Okay, so just gonna lightly go over that. And then I also want to bring in the light green a little bit, and I'm gonna just kind of bring this on top of everything. Can't speak today apparently. And I'm gonna lightly blend that just slightly over our yellow as well. And this will kind of help hide that green tone that the yellow and the blue give us, so it'll kind of look like it's meant to be there. Let's go back to the cerulean blue, and I think I'm just going to lightly go over all of this. Maybe darken up down here. And then let's see, I think I want to burnish everything with the sky blue, light, and I think what I'm gonna do around here is I'm just gonna burnish with this up till just before we hit the yellow. And then I'm just going to fade it out lightly. And then we'll burnish the yellow and slightly into the blue with the cream, and that should help kind of finish off that glowy look that we're going for. there's that. And then we go in with our cream, which I think I grabbed the swatch, but not the color. Oh no, it's right here. I did. Make sure to clean it off. Mine's a little bit yucky looking. And I'm gonna blend from the light into the blues a little bit. There. Did miss a little spot here with the sky blue light though. So there's that. Do another layer. I think I may have grabbed from a spot that had a little bit too much white. And I think I'm happy with that. I think that's the last layer we'll use. Okay, for this bag, I think I'm just going to make it the same color as her scarf and boots. Not quite sure how we colored those. It's been a while, but we'll wing it. If it looks slightly different, that's totally fine. So I'm just going to go over top of everything with the cerulean blue. I know we used the indigo blue. Pop that into our shadows. And then we'll go in with our black. And I know we used the blender pencil to blend all these colors together. So I'm just going to put a really nice coating of the black in to mix with. And then just to make sure that blue pops through, let's go in just another little layer of the cerulean. Okay, blender pencil, starting with the black and working our way towards the highlights. with the cerulean blue, and I'm just gonna kind of outline some of these lines here. Try and leave some white in between them. And then other color should we add to that? I don't really want to do red. I'm kind of thinking purple. Let's actually go over the horizontal lines with the cerulean blue as well. And then we'll go over those. I kind of want a dark purple, so I don't want the hot pink. I want the processed red. I'm pretty sure we used that before. I have it here. Where's the swatch? There it is. So I'm just going to go over some of these blue lines with the processed red just to get that color in there. I like that. And then just to give it a little bit of shading, let's go in with the black. Oops, sorry guys, bumped you. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of shadow right underneath the tree branches. And we'll go over those with the indigo blue just so they don't look out of place. There's going to be lots of just randomly switching colors here, just to warn you guys if you haven't noticed already. Okay, so little train. I'm just going to color in the windows with the deco yellow, add a little bit of shadow to them with the canary yellow. Probably just go along the bottom. Add a little bit of canary yellow to this little front part here, and I think I actually want to bring in the jasmine. I can find it in my mess of swatches here. There it is. So go over that. And then I want to do the train blue as well, because it'll kind of balance out with the wall. So put indigo blue along the bottom. Maybe a little bit on the train funnel. We'll come up with the cerulean blue. And then we'll just finish coloring it in with the sky blue light and burnish that all together. Make the wheel, I'll probably just color in with black and just put a couple dots on it. Okay, I think that pretty much gets rid of everything except her hair, eyes, and skin, right? And the final details, of course. So let's see if we can color this in. So of course I'm going to use the same colors that we have been using. So we'll use our blues. We're going to start with the cerulean blue. So far so good. So let's just lightly go over everything with this. Okay, indigo blue. Colors are definitely not showing up quite as dense though, unfortunately. We're definitely not going to be able to get that really dark denim look, but she'll just have lighter jeans, which is fine. Let's just finish him off with the cerulean blue, I think. So on the plus side, they do still have that jean look to them. On the downside, you can still kind of see those lines. Only if you're really looking for them. And it didn't give us the color pop that it would have been nice to have, but I'm definitely not going to complain too much. Okay, I'm gonna take the black now and just retouch up these lines around it. Okay, so let's figure out a hair color for her. Definitely don't want to go with anything too yellow. I like the idea of the brown, but I feel like we've used such dark colors that I am really leaning towards the blonde to brighten it up. I actually kind of like the idea of silver hair too, but that would blend in too much with our wall there. I love Danny's combination here. So this is kind of muted. It's still light. It's got brown in it. I think that one's a little bit too light. I think we're gonna go with this one. And on the plus side, we've already used the majority of these colors, so there's only 2 colors that we need to grab. So this combination actually utilizes colors that we have already used, which will be nice. So thank you, Danny. Okay, I lied. Technically, Danny's combination uses 3 colors because she used the dark brown instead of the dark umber, but we're going to use the dark umber. So we're going to base everything in our lightest color, and I'm going to sharpen this. My desk is a very chaotic mess right now. It's driving me kind of crazy. Alright. So I'm going to work quickly to save time. Don't feel like you have to work as fast as I am. Okay, so let's start in with our dark umber. If I can find it. Where did I put it? I'm losing everything. There it is, up there. Okay. So we're gonna come in and we're gonna start popping this where our shadows are gonna be. So I'm gonna go fairly dark right at the start of our shadows and then lighten it up and fade off on the pressure as we go. Now you can work on each individual strand if that makes it easier for you. And just to add a little bit of interest, I definitely recommend not going on each strand to the exact same length. If you put shorter shadows on some of them and longer on others, that kind of gives it a little bit of differentiation, which makes it look a little bit more interesting. And then it also won't look blocky. Let's work in sections. So we're going to go in with the burnt ochre next. Pop this over top of the dark umber and bring it out. Actually, let's switch back to the dark umber. Totally missed these little bits here. Next up is the goldenrod. Each time we're pretty much just doing the exact same thing. We are going over our previous used color and kind of fading this out after adding a little bit more of it. Okay. With the yellow ochre, I think all I'm going to do with that one is just go over just slightly what we've already colored to kind of tone it down a little bit. If I have room to bring it out without completely going over the highlight, then I will. So like these longer strands, I've got room to. And then we can finish in with the jasmine, and this is the one that I'm going to pretty much just go over everything with. So by elongating my shadows so much, I've turned this into more of a brown hairstyle than a dirty blonde. So it's more going to be brown with blonde highlights, but that's totally fine. My reason for choosing to do that instead is because of the earmuffs, because we're going to go in with acrylic paint to really make those stand out, and I want something a little bit darker for the little tufts to be over, that way the contrast is a little bit higher. Plus, since I was torn between blonde hair and brown hair, this is kind of a compromise for having both. Okay, next section. Try and be careful with these little tiny bits of hair because we're not going to be able to do a whole lot with them. So I'm just going to follow the exact same steps. second, got a kitty at the door. Come on. What do you want? There's no food here for you. I think we need to bring some of these shadows out a little bit more. I think I've kept them a little bit too small, so they're gonna look too different than the last ones. So I'm just gonna bring a couple of them out a little bit farther. And then just continue on. There you go. I got all three of the kitties in here right now. It doesn't usually happen very often these days. Okay, so same thing, we're going to go over everything that we've already colored with the yellow ochre. And for the most part, we're just going to leave it like that unless we have room to bring it out a little bit, in which we will. And then let's come in with our jasmine. And again, just going over everything. All right. Last section. Okay, I think that's good for the shadows. Let's maybe just, some of these I feel like I blended a little bit too harsh, so I'm just going to add a tiny little bit of more color on the ends of them. Just to help blend into the burnt ochre. Excuse you. Oh no, don't even think about it. You're not going in the closet. Nope. Sorry, buddy. You can't come up here. This one next. I'm excited to see her finished. We're going to be coming up on the 1.5 hour mark right away here. Trying to decide whether we should do the last bit in a separate video or just keep it to this one. We'll just keep it to this one, even if it's super long. Right now it's actually the 1st of December, so I'm cutting this pretty close, but I knew I would get it done. But I'm super excited for later on because I'm gonna finally decorate the house for the boys. We usually wait till the 1st of December to do the Christmas stuff. Not counting outside. Outside is already decorated for the most part. We've got a couple things to put up out there, but that's about it. And to think, when you guys are watching this video, it'll already be past Christmas. Last little bit for the hair. I actually really like how that turned out. Okay. So now I'm just gonna grab the colors for her skin and I'll be right back. All right. So before I start coloring, I have a little bit of color here that I need to get rid of. Because if I color over that, it's gonna smudge and it's not gonna look good. So I need to get rid of that. And then I'm gonna sharpen my pencil. And we'll just go over and start doing a base with the light peach. Which I know we don't usually start with bases, but I don't know, I feel like being different today. So now we're going to go in with our Parma Violet and pop in our shadows. Most of her neck is pretty much going to be completely in shadow, so we don't got to worry about that too much. So I'm just going to lightly pop in some Parma Violet along the parts of her skin that runs alongside her neck. And we're just going to make sure her neck is a little bit darker, so that way we can tell that her neck's behind her head, kind of. I like to add noses to the girls. Don't feel like you have to. It's totally up to you. I always follow the method where we're always going over our shadows and lightly bringing it out. So if you didn't want to add a nose, pretty much this whole area here would be one of your lightest areas. So you would just pretty much color that in with the light peach or possibly the white, depending on how light you want to make her skin. Okay, I think that's probably good for the Parma Violet. So now I'm going to come in with the nectar and neutralize everything I've colored with the Parma Violet. We can bring the nectar out just slightly. I want to keep her skin fairly light, so I'm not going to bring this out too far. And I'm also not going to burnish it. I'm just going to go over it until the purple becomes more like a skin color. And then just fade it out from there. And probably go over with the light peach just so the shadows aren't too dark. For her neck, however, I'm going to give a really good coat to her neck. And then I'll probably just leave it and I'll still go over that with the peach. Actually, I'm going to pause for a sec. One thing I want to do quick, and actually I changed my mind. I'm going to use a marker instead of my Posca pen. I'm just going to go over this lantern. And just color that in like that for now. And that way by the time I put highlights on that, it'll be dry. I think that looks good. Let's come in with our peach next. I'm going to sharpen mine. So the peach is the color I'm going to use to burnish my shadows, and then I'm just going to fade it out. Saving a little bit of a highlight on the edge of her hands here. I don't want to burnish my shadows here yet, however, because I do still want to add blush. So what I like to do for their faces is I'll just base my colors before I actually go in and do anything. So our highlights on here, I'm trying to save one just above the crease of her eye here. The crease of her eye will be a little bit darker. I'm trying to save a highlight on her nose, a little one here, and then around her cheek here. Everywhere else, it's going to be either shadowed or just kind of like mid-tone. So I just want to fade nicely into those highlighted areas. And then we should be okay to add our blush. So I'm going to go in with the Process Red. I'm just going to start kind of near the corner of her eye here. Just lightly go over this. Fade it out right about here, like a third into her eye. Here, I'm going to fade it out right about here because her head's turned, so we're not going to see as much of the blush on this cheek. I am going to build up that color a little bit though, because I want her cheeks to be really rosy. I mean, she's outside and she's all like dressed up. She looks really nice, so definitely want to play up her face a little bit. Normally I just have a slight amount of blush on them just to make their skin look warm. But since she's outside and it's Christmas and it's winter, why not make her cheeks a little bit more rosier than we usually go? So then with the hot pink, I'm going to bring that in over top of the processed red, and I'm just going to bring it out just a little bit farther. I usually go about halfway to their eyes, and that's where I'll fade it off. So now we can go back in with our peach, and here we can start burnishing. For their eyes, since Hannah leaves them open like this, what I generally like to do is just lightly fade into the white and just kind of leave it like that. Okay, I think that's good enough. We can go in with our light peach. And this one, even though for the most part everything's burnished already, I still like to just try and go over everything that I can. Make sure that it blends good into the other colors at the very least. And I am actually going to bring in another color. It might seem strange, but that color is the dark purple. And I'm just going to very lightly add a tiny little bit in the shadows. Using a super light touch. I'm not going to be able to blend this in because it's already burnished. I can like add a little bit of color on top of it, but there's no way I'm going to be able to blend it in or anything. So I'm just popping this in at the very edges of the shadows. You can kind of smudge at it with your finger a little bit too if you need to. Just like that. I was hoping after having all of this colored I would know what to do with her eyes. I'm thinking green. I think I want to kind of do the greens that we used for here. So let's grab olive green. I do want to use black because I'm finding that I don't really like to do super vivid colors with the eyes. Otherwise I find that it just looks weird to me. So we're going to want olive green, black, and lime peel. I know I've got my black somewhere up here. There it is. Okay, so let's start with the olive green. I'm going to turn her slightly, that way her eyes are kind of straight up and down for me. That way I don't mess up on the shadows, just because her head is kind of tilted here. Go in with the black. I'm just going to close off her pupil here. And then just lightly darken up the very tops of her eyes, fade it down. So we can go back in with the olive. I'm just going to very lightly fade it all the way down to the bottom, just so our lime peel isn't super bright and vivid. It'll mix with the olive green. Everything will look nice and blended, but realistic, kind of, in a sense. And there we go. So now all we have is a few final touches and then the earmuffs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my sky blue light. I'm going to lightly color over these. Normally I would use a marker, but this is closer, so. And honestly, you could leave it like that because that looks super cute, but we are going to make it fluffy. So I've already got my acrylic paint here. So I'm just going to dip into that and I'm just going to start making little flicking motions in the direction that we want the fur to go. And I'm going to bring it out just slightly past the lines that Hannah has drawn in there. And one thing that you actually could do first is kind of go over these lines. Because we want to get rid of them. Now you're definitely going to have to rotate your book to find positions that are comfortable to flick your wrist at. The brush that I would use for this is something like this. The one that I have right now is a number 4 round, I believe. As long as it kind of tapers off at the end, you're good. Doesn't need to be super fancy. Most of my brushes come from Walmart. not like a professional artist at any means, so I don't feel the need to go out and buy super fancy brushes. And even if I did, I don't think I would be using them in my coloring books most likely, so. My tummy's gurgling. Excuse you. We're also gonna have to let this dry and do several layers, so don't know if I want to make it fluffy coming towards her here. So I think I'm just gonna create tiny little lines to show that it's fluffy, but I don't want it to really go over anything. So while we're letting this dry off in between coats, I'm going to clean my desk. Don't worry about it being perfect. This is only the first layer. We're definitely going to add more. But that's not bad for a first coat. So we're going to leave it here for now and let it dry. I think for this we probably only need to add a couple more coats actually. I know for these ones I had to add quite a few, and even then it still didn't fully get rid of that line. So we're going to focus on trying to get rid of that line for these ones, but I don't think we'll need a whole lot extra. So we are going to leave that for now, I think, and then I'm going to tidy up a little bit and I'll meet you back for layers. Alright, so let's go back in with another coat, and I gotta say, this phone drives me crazy. It makes it look like nothing's burnished, but it is. Okay, so I'm gonna get some fresher acrylic paint here. So again, starting kind of on the outside, just gonna pop in some more little fuzzy bits. I don't want to bring them too far out. And I do kind of want to mimic those lines on the inside too. I'm not going to be able to see them quite so well, but they do still make a difference. So I'm just going to kind of pick my center, which is right here, and then the lines are going to go kind of out in opposite directions from there. I don't think I'm actually too worried about this line. I think it'll be okay. I'm not sure we'll actually be able to get rid of it anyways. I mean, we can try. Oop. Keep my hand out of the wet paint. Okay, so now I'm not sure why, but I'm getting these really pretty delicate ends to this side, but this side not so much. So I definitely want to work on that for our next coat on this side. I don't want to work the acrylic paint too much though. I think we'll do at least one coat more, possibly two if we need it. I don't think we will. Just in case we only do one more coat, I'm going to come in and start to do some of my accents here. That way they can dry. So just coming in with my white here, I just want to add some little highlights on this lantern here. And with the black, I'm going to black out this train wheel. I'm going to go and black out the pupil of her eye. I'm not going to worry so much about her eyelashes since we're still adding in paint. I want to do the eyelashes after because we'll have to re-add them back in over the tufts of her earmuffs. But since I do want to add highlights on the eyes, I do want the black to be dried before I go in with my white. And then I'm also going to take a metallic gel pen. I have to turn the page slightly here. Okay, that's not going to work. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my white, which is trying to bleed all over the place for some reason. I'm going to go over the tracks with the white first, and then when I go back in with the gel pen, you'll actually be able to see the gel pen. Because it's just getting lost on that floor, unfortunately. Let's maybe make it so you can kind of see the rail underneath the train too. And I'm going to do the same thing with her earrings because I kind of want those to pop out a little bit as well. So I'm just going to bring the line down and then white out that little ball part she has at the end. And of course I touched the train track, so now I got to go in and redo that. Okay. I want to come back in with a gold gel pen on her earrings. So that's why I'm doing that. And everything else I think looks fine. Oh, actually I lied. There was one more thing I wanted to do. I do want to go in with a yellow gel pen. Just one of the glittery ones, just over these little polka dots. Figured this side of the page needs a little bit of glitter as well since our tree is super glittery. So we will let that dry and we'll come back when we're ready to do another coat. All right, I think this will be our last coat. So we're gonna work on those little softer flicky lines here. So I think the difference is kind of letting your brush go up a little bit sooner. And then also kind of using the very tip of it. Definitely takes some trial and error, but yeah, I'm liking those better. Okay. So I think that's good enough. I don't think we'll get it much better than that. So we'll go in and do our gel pen. Oop, that's the wrong color. I want this one first. Yeah, this goes over the Posca way better. And gold for this little bit. Add a little bit of a shine to the trees here for her necklace, or earring. A little bit of a shine in her eyes, maybe a little bit on her lip there. Oops. Hopefully you guys could see that. I don't know if I pushed it back up before or after I did that. And then just gonna create this weird little wheel thing on the wheel because my Posca pen decided to bleed again. I don't know why it's leaking so much. I might have to come back in with black and fix that up after it dries, or maybe there. I actually kind of like that. That's better. Anything else? I don't think so. I'm going to attempt to do her eyelashes. I know the paint's not nearly dry enough yet, but let's see what we can do at least. Might have brought those eyelashes out a little too far. Uh-oh. Just a couple small ones in there. Might not look so out of place. Not bad. Okay, I will accept that. We fixed it. I'm just gonna grab the dark umber and go over her eyebrow, bring that back out. And other than that, there's not really too much else I really want to do. I want to add a couple dots around the lantern here. Maybe a couple in around the tree, maybe some around the presents. I think she's done. So I'm going to zoom out, don't mind the mess. Oh, there, now she actually looks like she's burnished. It's just when we're up close, when I zoom in, the camera on this phone like pixelates things. As soon as we get out, that's what she actually looks like. And get all of her in frame. So she's definitely a labor of love. I hope you guys love her as much as I do, though. I had so much fun coloring her, and I hope you guys did too. I hope you guys tag me in your finished creations. That way I can see them. I think that's it. I will close this by saying that there will not be a color along in January because I am not going to have time to record anything in December. I'm hoping to at least do a couple live streams throughout the month. I'm going to try. We will see. I make no promises, but I'm going to try to fit some time to stream because I miss talking to you guys. But yeah, other than that, in January, we'll maybe do a couple different videos, but it's not going to be a color along, unfortunately. But we'll get back to it in February. So as always, guys, take care, and I will see you next time. Bye!